a chapter in your book, Tom, that stands out that you think people should pay attention to. How's that sound?
That sounds good.
You'll do that, okay. Meanwhile, Tom, thanks for being on the program again tonight, and I will look forward to talking to you when I go to the cold Midwest, where our broadcast will be originating out of Racine, Wisconsin. So,
oh boy,
yeah, it'll be cold up there, but the family I'll be around will be warm. So we'll knowing that we only rent the cold weather, and then we ultimately work back down here. So. That's where the broadcast will be originating out of Racine, Wisconsin, Sports Exchange Special Edition. And we'll have a pretty good lineup of special editions. Tom Shanahan, obviously, is one of those. All right, Tommy, good work tonight, and we will do it again next week, okay, buddy?
Sounds good.
All right, find us a chapter, okay?
That will be easy. Thank you.
You're welcome. Take care, Tommy. Good night. All right, well, before Bill Winters comes on the program, we'll go back to the FAU UAB game. So obviously you say you're not nervous, which is good. You've gotten better with every game. Now you'll have an opportunity to taste a championship type of game here where, a trophy will be awarded out. And this is one of the better, even though it's not a Power 5 conference, I don't care what conference you're in, Lewis, okay, you're going to find some interesting pro prospects, you can say. So my advice to you is, as you have all along, that flip chart that you get identifying these prospects, find some rooms on your wall because you may be seeing some of these guys in the NFL.
There's one name that I'll highlight when we speak to Jake Rongholt, who'll be joining us after our next guest, Bill Winters, and he is on the FAU side. I'm definitely excited to. I got a chance to ask him a couple of questions after his big game in the Conference USA East clincher last week, but I'll save that for when Jake comes on. But yeah, no, I mean, look, if you're in the Boca Raton area or in the South Florida area, please make your way out. I mean, tickets aren't that expensive, If you're a student at FAU, tickets are anywhere from $5 to $10. I mean, obviously students get discounts on tickets. Come out and watch. I mean, this is going to be one of the bigger games in the program's history. Lane Kiffin has done such a tremendous job since he's been here. And you know what? I think we're going to bring it home.
All right, and not only that, if you're looking for tickets, you can go to conferenceusa.com, and they'll certainly be promoting the game. So, and then I'm sure you'll be able to find something very suitable. I'd like to see a great crowd, knowing that the game is actually being hosted by FAU. And if the FAU fans really want to get it in gear as well as the local community, they should embrace the job that indeed FAU has done. And I don't have to throw a little bit of controversy in the fire, but I don't know how many games Lane Kiffin does have left since it's a name that will be brought up to high-profile jobs. I wrote a story on the South Florida Tribune, been there and done that, and www.southfloridatribune.com. Scott Morganroth, you can find that story as well as Lewis's as well. So, not to say that Lane Kiffin's going anywhere, but he's revitalized his image here in the coaching ranks that would make him worthy of another job. Albeit, I think he'll end up probably having his pick of the jobs about what he wants to do. So, there are a lot of interesting storylines that should be on tap for us as well. So, but I'm glad you're going to go, Lewis. I think it'll be a good experience for you, and as time goes on, you'll continue to be exposed to a lot of newer experience as well. So
it definitely saves you from some late-night driving, too. I know you got a big travel schedule coming up.
Yeah, well, actually, that night, a good point. We're not going to be driving up to Jacksonville that night. We're going to take off on Sunday morning around 7, 8 o'clock local time. So that's what we'll do. It's interesting, but, sometimes, what your original plans are versus what they ultimately become change. And this one will actually work out well for us. We're looking forward to it.
Yeah.
Again, for all you folks realize, I'll be traveling around 11,000 miles, and my travels will conclude on January the 13th until I find other places to go. So it'll be a very eventful holiday season for myself. You'll be growing in other ways as you cover FAU basketball. I know you're planning to write a story on Dusty May, the FAU men's basketball coach. I know Justin Johnson, the guy that's in charge, will be definitely going out there and arranging that for you. So we have a great relationship with FAU in our backyard. Katrina McCormack, the SID, does a wonderful job, has a great staff, and looking forward to continuing to work with Katrina. I've known her a long, long time, dating back to 2007. So
my alma mater definitely has taken care of us so far. I mean, the hospitality has been great, and obviously to be able to do those games has been a pleasure. I enjoy and treasure each second I've been able to be there. So, I mean, I love it. I mean, there really isn't much you could say, and it's great to connect with people from other schools, you know. I mean, again, what more is there to say? I'm not really nervous about the game. Would I be saying there's a little bit of jitters? Yeah, but I would say those are about a 2. Again, I'm just excited to be out there to see that crowd. I really want to see a lot of people come out there because FAU does have a genuinely great football program, and we're going to get into that when we speak to Jake later to close out the show. But they're definitely a program in my mind that deserves a lot more recognition. I mean, this team from last year, there was a little bit of a rough season. They were 5-7, but they did turn out, you know, to come back and 9-3 years so far. One of the better teams, you know, in Florida right now. Obviously, FSU's had its problems, you know, firing Willie Taggart and not many people not knowing for the last couple of years where that football program's headed. But we still have, you know, FAU is shown to be one of the better teams of late in the state of Florida, and it's good to see. And I mean, I'm sure you'd agree with me, Scott, but, you know, it's true, yeah. We've heard a little bit of inklings about Kiffin possibly being in on the Arkansas job. There was some talk about that in the press conference, too, that was held on Monday prior to this game. So, I mean, again, it'll be interesting to see how what happens. You know, you're right. I think Kiffin will have his say in the job. It wouldn't shock me given the fact that he's been able to come over to a smaller program. Granted, they are still a Division I school and play high-quality football for 2 of the 3 years that he's been here. I mean, they won Conference USA 2017, and they're 4 quarters away from doing it this year. So, I mean, it doesn't really surprise me that they're going to be able to do what they've been able to do all season. And I think they're going to continue to play well. And UAB is a good football team. I'm not going to deny that. But, again, when we get into that with Jake, you'll see why I believe, and this isn't some alumni bias, I genuinely think FAU has a chance to take it home on Saturday. What about you?
Yeah, well, there's no question about it. It depends on, their quarterback, Jake Robinson. You know, he's had
Chris Robinson. Yeah,
Chris. I'm sorry, Jake.
That's okay. We're getting the guess.
Chris Robinson. No, yeah. That's okay. Chris Robinson certainly is a guy that has transferred from Oklahoma and has served himself well. So.
And again, we're going to talk about that with Jake. But the last thing I guess we'll say about that is it's just a testament to what Kiffin's been able to do with these personalities. You told me this on Saturday, and I totally agree with you wholeheartedly that he has a knack for, you know, for working with these reclamation projects of sorts.
Oh, yeah.
You know, taking these guys that were destitute in some means and transforming them into viable college athletes. And in some cases, you know, some guys transitioning to the NFL. Does Chris Robinson play in the NFL? It remains to be seen. He's still, I believe he's got another year before he can make that decision for himself. But he's had a good season being the head honcho quarterback on a team that's played well all year. I mean, what more else is there to say?
Well, no, that's a good point. It really is. And I think it's imperative to realize that, you know, you've got a lot of prospects that are on display, and FAU has certainly had a few in recent years. Devin Singletary is a guy that you've had on there, and then you have, Alfred Morris came out of there, and the list goes on, and who knows what's going to come out of this group. For sure.
I mean, you know, you're right. I absolutely agree with you. I'm going to ask you this, though. We'll get back to some college football for a second. You know, now that we're talking FAU, I asked Mel the question about Clemson, considering they have a weak schedule and whether it plays against them in the Final Four. You know, as of today, they're ranked number 3. They do have a bowl game on Saturday. In your mind, do you think that weak schedule is going to hurt them when those playoffs come? I think there's going to be an entertaining playoff picture in college football, but, you know, I'm curious to see what you think about whether or not the weak schedule that they've had all season, playing a few unranked teams like Wake Forest, is going to hurt them.
Well, it's always possible that it can. I would definitely say it's very possible that it can, without a doubt.
Yeah, I mean, but Mel did make a good point. They played a ranked Alabama team last year, and they absolutely went off against them. So, you know, Clemson has been great. Trevor Lawrence has been entertaining all season. I mean, if you want to talk a little more college football news, what about the ramblings that we've been briefly hearing about Tua possibly coming back and playing another year in Alabama?
You know what? I'm not sure. I won't sit here and tell you that I buy any of that stuff yet for a while, so I don't know. Go figure.
Yeah, he did come out and say today that if he were taken top 15 in the draft, it would be something that would be hard to pass up. You know, it's something I want to see him play, personally. I want to see him in the NFL, but if he feels like he needs another year at the college level, then he needs another year at the college level. I mean, he doesn't really have much else to prove, given that he's played with a guy like under Nick Saban for a couple of years, and he's performed at a high level for the time that he's been there. But again, I mean, if he gets taken early in the draft, and personally given his injury, I don't think his draft stock's going to remain the same. I don't think he's their number 1 overall pick. I think at this point, Joe Burrow, who's possibly going to win the Heisman, quarterback for LSU, may be the guy that winds up being the quarterback that's taken number 1 overall. I mean, what do you think about that? Joe Burrow.
Oh, yeah, I think that's definitely a likely possibility, without a doubt.
Yeah, I mean, again, we don't know what's going to happen. LSU is a team that I root for. I think Ed Orgeron, very good coach. He doesn't get enough respect, but that's a good football program. I mean, you don't really need to be a genius to say that, but Joe Burrow, I was looking at it the other day, Scott. He's completed 78% of the pass attempts this season. I mean, you could talk about Heisman Trophy winners being a bust, and a lot of them are quarterbacks. Marcus Mariota is one example. When he was at Oregon, everybody thought he was the next big thing in the NFL, given he was able to run and he was an elite thrower. And obviously that hasn't materialized in the NFL. I mean, this year it's 2-4 with Tennessee, and Ryan Tannehill's taken over the job and done seamlessly. But I don't know. I look at Joe Burrow, and former Ohio State quarterback, he had to transfer, given Jalen Hurts was there. He's just done he's just been seamless in the way that he's carried that program on the offensive side. He's been fantastic. I mean, we have on the South Florida Tribune, I believe we have a weekly Heisman ballot that comes out, and we give our updated thoughts about who we believe is going to win the Heisman. And if I'm not mistaken,
let me just say, when I think of the Heisman Trophy, not much.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because look at Reggie Bush when he won it, and then it got stripped from him eventually. But most of those Heisman Trophy winners, they never really pan out in the NFL. I can't really think of the last person who won the Heisman that's been a star in the NFL for an extended period of time. I mean, Reggie Bush had some success, obviously, but he was a journeyman near the end of his career, played with a myriad of teams. And I don't know. I guess there's just something about the Heisman being a Heisman Trophy winner, or whether you're like Troy Polamalu and you believe in the Madden curse, appearing on the Madden video games, and that your career is cursed somewhat. That may exist. I don't know. Forces above us may be playing with the puppet strings on that. But again, I think Joe Burrow looks like the kind of guy, given his demeanor. He's a very calm guy. He's probably going to be the number 1 overall pick. Maybe he's a Heisman Trophy winner that doesn't, bust.
I don't know. We'll see. Time will tell. While we have an opportunity to talk about the NFL, we're going to predict a few games here on our own, okay? Let's talk about, of course, I don't know about the Cowboys and the Bears, okay? But
do you want to go back and forth on them? You predict the game, I predict the game?
Yeah, we will. We'll go out there. I would have gone with the Cowboys tonight. What about you?
I think the Bears have been playing well lately. We saw that on Sunday Night Football. There was video of them celebrating in the locker room, and they've been playing well of late. I just don't think Mitch Trubisky's the guy moving forward. I like Dallas. I just think they're too good of a team to struggle the way they have. I think Elliott's due for a bounce-back game. He's really been struggling the past couple of weeks. So I think I got Dallas tonight in this game.
Okay. All right, let's go on to the games on Sunday, okay? You got Washington Redskins against Green Bay Packers. Well, they have to play these things, and so go ahead.
What do you think Ryan said? What did Ryan say at the outset of the show? It's going to be ugly for Washington. Obviously, Dwayne Haskins has showed a little bit of maturity in the past couple of weeks, but I still don't really think – I don't think anything of that. I mean, personally, Dan Snyder, we've said this 100 times, is one of the most incompetent owners in professional sports. From 100, you can list 100 reasons why that's true. But I think Aaron Rodgers, in my mind, you know what? Like, future Hall of Fame quarterback. He's won a Super Bowl. He's won multiple MVP awards. They're going to go in there and they're going to absolutely destroy them. It's at their home territory, too, so back at Lambeau. Candy will like me saying that, too.
Well, I'll just go. We're going to go through them quick before Jake comes on the program,
sure.
Okay? Green Bay in a blowout. So the Lions against the Vikings. I told Ryan what I thought of it. I'll say it again. The Lions get blown out by the Vikings. Whether they keep Patricia is anybody's guess, but that's a scrimmage.
I think Kirk Cousins can peel the sheet off the calendar for the next day and see it's not Monday, so it's good that he's not playing on Monday Night Football. Obviously, we know about his struggles there. So, yeah, I definitely pick Minnesota in that game. I think Stephon Diggs is going to have a very big game for them. I think, if you get a healthy Dalvin Cook, this game, it's going to be a blowout, in my opinion.
Okay. All right, let's go on to the Dolphins and the Jets.
So, look, Sam Darnold, after he saw ghosts for that game against New England on Monday night, he's played pretty well. They've won a couple of games. Le'Veon Bell's been a solid contributor. He's really been quiet. He hasn't really said anything ridiculous that we've seen a lot of football players do. But I love the way that Miami's playing lately.
Right.
Again, Ryan said this, and you said this too. It's a bottom for the cellar in the AFC East. I think Miami wins it. Fitzpatrick's been playing fantastic lately.
Okay, I'll go with the Dolphins. They've certainly looked a lot better. They're playing inspired football under Brian Flores. Got a few games, so we're just going to blow through them. Okay, Lewis.
Mm-hmm.
The Chargers against the Jaguars. A battle of 2 4-8 teams.
Well, we picked this already. I think Jacksonville's going to win it.
Well,